All right. So the number one behavior of the highly dependent adult child is avoidance. Avoidance, avoidance, avoidance. I cannot emphasize this enough. If your child has like a full on, virtual life, um, they are, doing all the things, but online, that's their social outlet. They are avoiding in real life challenges. They are potentially avoiding working jobs that are unpleasant. They are probably avoiding, sort of adulting tasks that, really they should fall on them at this point. And they have sort of stopped doing them. We swoop in and we take care of those tasks for them. Please do not feel, any sort of way about the things that you do for your adult child. We've all been there. We've all sort of overstepped into helping our adult child avoid difficult or unpleasant tasks. But here today, we're going to say, I will begin to say no. So things will be asked of me from my adult child, and I will say no. And when we say no, we don't really have to explain the no. So during the no, we don't have to. We might feel an urge to be like, well, I'm learning this new technique and I'm learning that. You don't have to. You can just say no, right? Do not try to control your adult child's reaction. They can react how they react. It's okay. That's their process, right? Notice your own resistance to saying no. A lot of the parents that I work with are chronic people pleasers, and their entire nervous system like seizes up at the idea of saying no. And if that's you, you're probably anxious just looking at this slide. So that's something for you to work on with some of your own mental health support and regulation, to like really acknowledge the fact that it is incredibly difficult for you to say no. You allow for your own discomfort and you learn to disengage when your adult child is singularly focused on getting you to a yes, because they might be spamming your phone. They might be like, outside of your bedroom door saying, no, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And your job is to disengage, right? After the no, you can help your adult child accept how, the anxiety is manifesting, how their fear and their anger is coming up. But really, I would just want you to do less rather than more at this stage, right? In a calmer moment, you might explain to them that your job as a parent is to prepare them for life without you. This is a very blunt thing to say. I would definitely soften it, but really our job is to prepare our adult children for when we die. Like that is at the end of the day, that is our imperative as human beings perpetuating our bloodline. Is we have to make sure that they're going to be okay when nature takes its course. All right. So why as parents of adults do we accommodate so much? This is a difficult question, and I analyze it a lot for parenting of every age. I think, one of the things that's unique to this community, where you probably found your way here because of your adult child's neurodiversity, the accommodation used to be, like we said before, a good thing. It used to be something that was helping your adult child. And at some point, it switched. At some point, it became something that is harming them or holding them back. But it's difficult to notice that, that change, right? A lot of us, myself included, we accommodate because we might have an anxious attachment style. We might be really worried that, we're going to lose our connection with our adult child, that we really want that bond, and we feel like we have to accommodate to keep it, right? Sometimes we might have parental guilt about perceived mistakes during childhood. Um, we might have a lot of sensitivity, a lot of empathy. I mentioned people pleasing before. We might just want calm. Like we're, at that stage where we have an expectation of having an empty nest and we don't really, or, we're still like doing a lot of parenting and really like all we want is calm. And when we aren't accommodating our adult child, it's going to shake things up. Your family system is not going to feel calm for a while. There might be some permissiveness that happens. Your adult child might be guilting you. They might be, saying like mom always does this or dad never does that. They might be triangulating you. And you might actually, unfortunately, align with your adult child's anxiety. And you might have come to believe that your adult child cannot. And so then we want to have a different standpoint of like, actually, I think that my adult child can. We have, of course, this desire to protect our child of any age from distress. But it's paradoxical because our desire to protect our adult child ultimately maintains and sometimes exacerbates their avoidance and therefore their anxiety. All right, so this is borrowed from Dr. Leibowitz. He developed this system of writing letters to your adult child, or to your child specifically, and we can change this to letters to our adult child, in which we tell them, hey, like, I'm going to stop this accommodation. An example of a first accommodation that we stop to help motivate an adult child to be more financially independent, we take them off the family cell phone plan. And yes, I understand this is not necessarily the most strategically, financially desirable thing to do, because maybe it costs us $30 to have them on our plan, but for them to get a new plan would be $90. I get it. And also, it's a perfect first accommodation to remove because it is actually telling your adult child, like, this is something that you can handle, you can be responsible for financially and logistically. And also, it's something that I control, and I want to stop controlling parts of your life. So we would say, dear, child. And by the way, most parents send this in text message, but the idea is to say it in writing so that the adult child doesn't sort of debate it or question, like, when is this happening? You're just very explicit about when and where and what. So we might want to start with some supportive statements like, I'm really impressed by this and this. I really love this and this about you. But we have recently learned that doing this accommodation, so paying for your cell phone, for example, might make you feel better right now in the short term, but it is making your dependency worse long term. Okay? We know it's hard, but we believe in your ability to do hard things. So we say we want to say no to this accommodation because it will be something that will help you long-term figure out your path, right? We end with a supportive statement, love your parents, and very importantly, strike when the iron is cold, right? Do not give this letter to your adult child in the middle of a fight. Do not scream out the changing of an accommodation when you're dysregulated. Do this when everybody is, in a pretty good state of calm, but do not expect it to stay that way, okay? So we want to think about stopping accommodations little by little. So we start with something smaller, motivating our adult child to be able to earn $90 a month, right? It's like a pretty doable first step. They might have that much saved. If they, are on the Wi-Fi with their cell phone but don't have data for a while, like, it's not really that big of a deal. They will sort of learn to function without this accommodation, and it might be that motivating factor for them to be like, oh, like, I think I think I'm going to take that next step.